You're on the path now, Will. You're on the path.
I know that dealing with overwhelming grief day after day can make you feel like you are insane. Because we have all been there. We are all still there.
And Shelly is?
It's my daughter. What if you could reverse it? There's this place hidden away. He'll open your eyes.
But there are rules, Will. You must listen with a clear and open mind. Your mind is open, your heart is clear. Now open them both to what is dear.
Who is this man, Will?
Shelly? She's not gone. She's just stuck.
Brother, you're stuck in a cycle right now, going round and round and round.
Then you gotta be careful what you wish for. Folks don't always like what they discover about themselves.
Like you've seen a goblin.
Will, where is Shelly?
Now open them both to what is dear.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for Rebroken, arriving on all digital platforms on March 7th. It's your boy Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. And as you see on the screen, I have some special guests. So delighted. The writers as well as stars of Rebroken, Scott Hamm Duenas as well as Kipp Tribble. Thank you both for your time today.
Man, thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. I love the energy. I love it.
Got to come with it. As an actor as well, when you're putting out your projects and you doing this press circuit, you need to get that infusion every now and then. So I try to do my best for you both.
Right. You said it, man. You nailed it. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. So Rebroken arriving to fans now on March 7th. I'm curious about this journey. Let's take it back. You both are credited as the writers and then brought it to Kenny Yates to direct it. Tell me how the genesis of this program started. Whoever wants to go first. Kipp, Scott, who came with it first?
I'll start because we'll do it how it kind of just in the order that it happened. Yeah, it was I like to say when I get an idea for a movie or a story or a script or just something's in my head, I like to write it in all these little comp books and log books and just to throw these ideas around, and they're just everywhere around my house. And some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them I love. And Rebroken was one that I just kept coming back to. And I just really liked it. I really thought something was there. So I put in some extra time with it and basically came up with a short story or I like to say like a half-hour episode of like a suspense thriller, like a Twilight Zone type deal. And so then I said, I like this one enough. I want to try and see if I can get this made. And so I need a script. And so I go to my big guns, and I got a couple friends that are writers, and Kipp's a fantastic writer and one of my producing partners and good friends and someone I trust. And I sent it to him and said, what do you think? And I was ready for him to say, yeah, go back to the drawing board. But instead he said, I like it. And I said, can you turn it into a screenplay? Can we make a script? Can we do this? And he said, I think I can. And then I kicked it over to him and said, do your magic, man. Turn this thing into an hour and a half, 2-hour monster, and let's go. And that's what happened. Kipp, you could take it from there.
Yeah. And as Scott said, he had this short story, and the bones and the core of the story were there. This father going through this repetition of grief every single day, and reliving that. And there was an element of a ghost story in there somewhere. But I kind of stepped back from that. I added in the grief counseling, added in all those characters, and did sort of a mystery through line there. That's kind of how it came together. Wrote the first draft, kicked it over to Scott and Kenny for some notes, and about a week later we were shooting. It was a pretty quick turnaround. We knew we had a compressed time on when we had to shoot, so we were prepping while the script was being written. So which is a little unusual, but we had a certain window of time we had to shoot this in.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when did this all start? Was this pre-pandemic or during the pandemic?
Yeah, during. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, everything seems to be during at this point. It was
Are we even out?
July.
I know. I don't even know if we're out.
I don't know. It was July 2021.
Okay.
Was when we went into production, and then the film was wrapped up, locked up. About a year later,
Okay.
2022.
So how is this like? All right, we come up with the screenplay together. You got Kenny on board. You got your team together. Casting. Let's get this. Well, first off, you're the stars in it. You both wrote it. What was it? Did you think of yourselves? You come up with a screenplay, but not all the time. Do you write for yourself? You write for other people, or I don't know how you guys work.
Yeah.
When did you both decide, hey, I wanted to play this part? Kipp, I wanted to play this part. How did that go about in regards to that pre-production and figuring out the roles before we start working on it?
Yeah, Scott and I are both actors, and that's what we are first and foremost. So I think naturally when we come up with ideas for a film or a story, there's always a role for us in there, and so when Scott came to me with the story idea, it was with him in mind to play this character. And like I said, there weren't the grief counseling group in there. There weren't all these other characters in there. And so naturally, I wanted to wedge myself in there any way I possibly could. And so, we knew, that both of us would be in the film. We knew which character Scott was already going to play. So, and Scott's idea was, he's like, here's a character I'm thinking of that could be someone who befriends him. He came up with the name Brian. And so then I crafted that character based on that. And I knew I would play that role from the beginning. And that's kind of how we usually work. It's always an actor's mindset first. Which can be dangerous when you're writing a script and that you're in it.
Yeah.
Because then you just tend to really make that the meat of everything. But in this aspect, Will is the focus of the story. And so we got to focus on Will's journey first, and then all the other ones will come along as needed. So it is something that to me at least it takes some time to learn how that balance when you're writing a script that you're going to be in whatever capacity. To dial it back when necessary, to make sure you're not going through this with tunnel vision.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. Scott, I know that you kind of feel the same when we're creating stuff.
Yeah, I definitely am writing it, and I'm like, man, I would love to play this part, and I know that I was also going to be producing it. And as a producer, though, there is an aspect of if someone comes along, whether it's investors or certain producers or certain name talent that wants to get involved, I know there's always a chance I might have to step back from something. If Matt Damon would have came along and said, hey, I need to play Will, I'd have been like, all right, Matt can step in there. And we try and, I think, be, on these indies this size, we're actors first, and we love to perform. We love to do this, but we know we can't always be the star of every single thing, or so the opportunities might pan out a different way. Kipp's gets hired a lot on things as just a producer, and I get hired sometimes as an actor on things that maybe it's not a role that I would love to play, like I would love to play Will. So it's just we definitely write these with characters in mind that we would love to play and that we can identify with. And every now and then it doesn't shake out that way for us for whatever reasons, but I think we always like to do whatever's best for the film. But we also love to act, and we also love to perform. And when it's your own story too, you really can throw your heart into the character.
No, I definitely agree with you both on that. As an actor as well, / filmmaker and host, to showcase, fabulous filmmakers like yourselves and people that are putting in that work. It's working that muscle, and you find other challenges because we don't get presented these opportunities all the time. As an Asian American, it's hard for me to get cast. I never get cast Asian American. I mainly get Latino. So it's crazy. But so diving into this,
that's crazy.
Finding yourself in this role, with being as the writers as well. I'm curious, you both, are acting in this. You both wrote this. Where did you mine from to pull, your how you're going to portray this? Does any of this have come from life? I ask that because I'm a father, I've been broken, if you will. I think we've all been broken. We're living in this pandemic. This was, written in pandemic times where a lot of us are experiencing stuff. And so I think that comes out with the writing and the creativity. So to throw that back, I know that's a lot there. Let me throw it back to you, Scott, and then we'll pass.
Yeah, man. No, you were right on the money. And I think that's even why I started having these thoughts of the whole dad-daughter thing, because I had just had a daughter. I've got a little teeny daughter. She's my first child. And like I was just the love that I felt for this child. And then when I would watch movies or watch the news and see these things happening to these poor families and dads, it always resonated with me before. But once I've had a daughter too, it's like, it's a punch in the gut just watching a movie I know is fiction. And so this one was really personal for me because I couldn't imagine like the grief of losing my daughter for like a day, let alone possibly for a lifetime, or possibly for something that was a mistake or an accident, or just all the scenarios that could happen. So it was really personal for me. And I knew that Kipp was going to be able to identify. He's a father too of 3 girls, but his are a lot older. I started late. He started early. But that definitely had a lot to do with it. And I think during the production, there were some times where it was affecting me. And there might be scenes where like Kenny would tell me that, I think you're a little too sad here. You didn't, and I don't think Will, I might tear up somewhere. And then he'd be like, yeah, but just because it was personal and it wasn't needed. So I know Kipp can speak to that too. This one was, we're girl dads, man. So it's definitely personal.
Yeah. As far as mining from real life, we've all gone through grief, and as you said, been broken at some point. So that was, what really informed the script. And then, as for me personally, from the acting side, before I had kids, I never cried at movies. I never, I was just one of those dudes, it's just like, whatever, that affected me, but I didn't cry, whatever. And as soon as I had kids, man, I cry at everything now. That just like it's constant. And so like the scene where my character has a little bit of emotional monologue there towards the beginning of the film, certainly I, just tapped into, my feelings for my daughters, and I actually had to try to dial it back and try to suppress that a bit. And that's, kind of what you see on screen there. But, Scott and I had a lot to really kind of draw from in the writing process and the performance side.
For sure.
I feel that. So you guys again are the stars, our 2 main leads in this, but then there's also Allison Hayslip. If we can talk about her and some of the other casts. She changes in the film. I don't want to spoil things. Right. You got me in the second half. Like the first half, I was like, okay, I'm not quite sure what's going on. Second half, I'm like, okay. But I'm not going to spoil. Allison Hayslip, can you tell me a little bit about casting her and then some of the other members of the cast?
We like to, in a lot of these, we like to go after some of the people that we know are willing to take the independent film journey with us, which is fast paced, and, they need to be easy to work with. We need to trust them that they're going to be off book and know this stuff backwards and forwards because time is of the essence. So we always kind of go after some people that people that we know and have worked with. And Allison came about because a friend of mine that we were considering that I wanted to offer the part 2 that I at least wanted her to read for. I hadn't talked to her while she was pregnant. And I go, wow, that's not going to work. And that's not even me being like pregnant bias or anything. It's just the storyline is not.
She was very, very pregnant, like very pregnant.
I'm like, it's just with everything going on, it's not going to work. And then she said, I have this terrific friend. She's amazing. She's got like 73 TV credits. I would never steer you wrong. You should audition her. You should see her. She's fantastic. And it was Allison. And it was a big rush job too. So we sent her the stuff, and
we were already shooting. Yeah.
Yes, because we had you're right, because there was someone that I had too that we thought was coming on that at the last minute wasn't able to because of a scheduling thing, and so we were kind of in a pinch. And so Allison came along, and she was was perfect. We loved her for it, and she always had those looks that kind of reminded me of like those creepy like stares like in Get Out and stuff, that I was like, okay, she's great. And you know, obviously Kip and Kenny had their input too. And I think we all were kind of like, yeah. House is gonna be great.
And she's got this, you know, she's also got a hosting background, so she's got this business like quality to her, that she's able to, you know, she's got a warmth just as a person. She's got a warmth to her character, but then she's very business when she's running the meetings, you know, which was very important. But then she can turn on that coldness when she needs to, which we start to see different layers to her character, as you mentioned, as we go along. So she really brought a lot of different elements to it. And, you know, Scott said, we kind of, you know, when you're casting, you kind of start to look at a bunch of different people and you start to narrow the list down. And this was one role in particular that just, oddly enough, there were just people that weren't available. And we weren't aware of Allison at all. She ended up being the perfect choice. But the lesson here for, I think, for actors or just artists in general is, you know, always keep in contact and be good to people, because somebody's going to refer you down the line. And that's how she got the role here, because otherwise we didn't know her, and now we do, and we definitely use her again. She was great. Yeah, for
sure. She was a pro, man. She did a fantastic job.
Very true. Very true. Naija Okoro, I believe, was the kind of character that your character, Scott, kind of grasped, you know, in these group meetings, or should I say group, not meeting, group meeting?
Exactly.
Group meeting. Yeah, whatever you want to call it, it works. It's a bunch of sappy. Yeah, Naija is now, I mean, over the years we've become friends. She's like a friend of mine now. We've worked together a couple times. And I met her years ago in acting class, in a scene study class, in this really good scene study class they have out here in LA. And we just became fast friends. And she's from the East Coast also. She's from New York. She's my type of person, because she was just this incredibly trained actress. She went to Juilliard, but then she's also like, she's Brooklyn, like from, you know, the feet up too.
Bronx.
And
don't
so
say Brooklyn, Bronx.
I mean, Bronx, I'm sorry.
She'll kill you for that.
I'm so in trouble. And anyway, I should have just said New York and kept myself safe. But anyway, right. I love that about her, that she's both. And so I love casting her in anything I can get her in. And she's doing these amazing plays with Felicia Rashad and all these big people, and she's still willing to. She comes in and does these indie films, and I think she loves working with us, and she's a blessing to have, man. I thought she did fantastic, and like I said, she can play everything, because she's so well trained as an actress, and then also has that upbringing, that raw, like tough upbringing too, and
very very versatile. Very, very versatile. She can really play tough, but she also, you know, has this vulnerability about her. And she's just incredibly talented and a total pro, you know.
Excellent.
Just great.
Excellent. Shout out to your entire cast, but the you two in particular, and Naija and Allison, really wanted to highlight that those performances grabbed me. So we're casting this, and from what I understand, you already have your own production company. So getting the crew together, or if you want to spotlight any of the crew as we get into production, any things we've learned along the way as fellow filmmakers. You know, not every production's the same. Any notes that you can speak on how this production went? Any script changes as we got to set that we can talk on?
Yeah, you know, the way we got Kenny on board, you know, I'd met Kenny in 2019 on a film that he came in to kind of fill in on the production side, and he and I became, you know, fast friends, and we've now done 13 films together. So, you know, we've done a lot of producing together, a lot of on-screen work together. You know, he knows production inside and out. Also, a great actor. Incredibly versatile just in the filmmaking world. So he'd been expressing that he wanted to direct a feature film, and when this came along, it just seemed like the perfect project for him. And so we presented it to him, and he signed on and just knocked it out of the park for his first feature. We brought on a friend of ours as well, Nathan Stifler, who came on to be our DP. Just again knocked it out of the park. He was just primed and ready for, you know, some DP work. He'd been He'd been in the camera department for us for a bit on a few projects. So we brought him on, and then we just filled it out with some great team players that we've had a few times on. A couple of people want to highlight that's worked with us several times. Ryan Bonfacesol, he was our production coordinator. Again, just one of those utility guys on set who just does a little bit of everything, and really should just be credited as a producer because he does a little bit of everything. Chelsea Cater, who also is, on her way to being a producer as well, also an actress, but she was our key set PA on this. These are some of the people who really, brought it for us and made this thing happen every single day. Those are some people I definitely would love to highlight.
Yeah, I second all that because Nate, the DP, and Sam Kim, the gaffer, they leveled this movie up so much for us. They made it look like $1 million. But I would also be remiss if the people that make it go at the end of the day are money guys, and I'm so grateful to our executive producers, Bobby Patel and Brad Kerr, who they take this ride with you. They're willing to invest this money. It's such a hard and competitive business. They get things made, and then to try and turn a profit and get these guys right. And then also the people over at Trick Six Films, Richard and Patrick, they came on as executive producers and did a whole bunch of other stuff to help us out and get this made. So, without money, you're not making a movie. And these guys were all willing to invest in our project, and they're easy. I mean, Brad and Bobby, that now we just finished our third one where those guys came on as executive producers, and you couldn't ask for better guys because they are the perfect people because they give you the tools and then they leave you alone. They're not showing up on set looking over your shoulder. They're not asking me for numbers every 5 days. They're just letting me do my thing, and which is
rare. That's rare. Yeah,
it's so rare. So grateful. Big shout out to those guys for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. As a filmmaker, actor as well, it takes a village, and I always love to show love and give back to everybody on my set, on a production, because it's not just one person, it's everyone in order to do that. So thank you for that and showing them all love. But now in regards to production, we're making this film for you as the writers, actors in this. When I'm getting ready to shoot, there's like one particular scene. I'm curious for this for you guys. As we're getting ready to shoot, there's this one part of the script or this particular scene. If it ain't right, everything's gonna be terrible. Like, I need this to be right. For both of you, is there a specific, sequence, or is there anything in that like, when we get to this point in the script or of the shoot, I want this to be a certain way. Kipp, I'm gonna throw it to you. Did you have anything in mind that you were really thinking about as you got into production on this?
I don't know if there was something that I was so dead set on that it had to be perfect. One thing that I really wanted to go well, and I wanted to be as solid as we could make it. From my standpoint, of course, it's a scene that I'm in, is when Scott and I are kind of having our standoff in the living room when I come and visit him. That's something that I wanted to, because those things can go off the rails pretty quickly, when you're having a confrontation scene, because there's so many layers to that as well, of sizing one another up, and they've already had this previous relationship and friendship. And then there's something going on with Brian. There's something going on with Will. What does each person know? What do they not know? There's so many different layers to that scene. And I wanted to make sure that we got that one right. And that's one that Scott and I, and there's some the blocking to it. The scene travels a bit, and we have these two open rooms, and I wanted to make sure that performance-wise and the way that Kenny and Nate were covering it was great. But I just want to make sure that we kind of nailed that scene. I feel we did okay.
I think so. Yeah, man. For me, I would say I have to be very careful here because it's that ending sequence, the ending scene for me. As Kipp knows, because we've done this a couple times, and we've done another one that had like a twist. Sometimes I get really concerned and nervous that I want people to walk away once it's over. I don't mind if they're confused like you were in the middle, but afterwards I want them to be like, oh, okay, because that's what I love to do after I see a movie. I want to go, this is why that happened. This is how A got to be. And so when all those ending sequences came up, I get real like antsy. Like, is the audience going to get this? And I know the audiences are very, very smart, but I still get nervous. Like, you know, and Kip's like, yes, give them, yes, they're going to get it. We're going to get it. And he always is my calming force. But it was definitely the ending sequence. I want to make sure that we still respect everybody, that everyone is smart and savvy enough to get what's going on. But I also want, you know, just the average fan that just likes to watch popcorn and be entertained, that they get it too. And so I just want everybody to get it and love it and like it and go, oh. So that's where I get concerned. But the guys did a great job. They edited it fantastic, and I think we did it. And so I'm very happy. But I would say that will be the one, because I get, especially because this, without giving anything away, we got a bit of a twist and a bit of a reveal at the end of this one. And so I think that can be tough. And I just get nervous that I don't want to make it so complicated that nobody gets it. But hopefully we didn't. I don't think we did.
And going back to your original question too about script changes, there really weren't any big changes that we had during, you know, little minor things here and there, but nothing major.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, once we got into it.
That's great to hear, especially as indie filmmakers, you know, having to go back, ADR, all of that. I will tell you, Scott and Kip, in regards to your, like, will they get it? Like I said, I was kind of like, okay, just, you know, from the beginning part, but then that twist, it actually made me, all right, I think I need to rewatch this again, because
I love that.
I was like, okay, now I see the brilliance of this script. Because at first I was like, I'll be real. I watch a lot of independent films as an actor as well, filmmaker. I watch a lot, and it just felt very standard. But then it came to that shift without spoiling y'all. Y'all got to watch it March 7th, digital platforms.
That's right.
And it got me. I'm like, fuckers. Okay, excuse my language.
No.
I got to rewatch the shit to see where all this was going on.
Well, and those are some of our favorites too. Is when you have to, like, oh wait, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that, and then I'm glad that that had that effect on you. That's what we.
Me too, man. We've heard it a couple times now, and nothing makes me happier than you know, I'm gonna go back and watch it again, because now I remember that this is why that was said. This is why that happened. This is why, and I love that, because that's what I love to get out of this type of movie too. Is when I watch a movie like this, like an M. Night movie, or like the ones that we like to model after, a Memento or a Machinist or something. I like to go back and be like, oh, wait a second. Okay, I get it. Now I'm watching it again. I see it. I see these things that at first I was like, what's going on? That's not right. This is good. And then you go, oh, okay. You got me. I like it though. You got me good, in a good way. So I'm with you, man. And I love to hear you say that. I take that as a huge compliment. Even if you don't mean it as a compliment, I take it as one.
I definitely mean it as a compliment.
I'm gonna take my compliment.
I definitely mean it as a compliment, because, you know, with a lot of Hollywood, let's be real, there's a lot of glut, there's a lot of output. Everybody's trying to create, and you got to surprise people. Sometimes people like outright shock people, but I love when you can twist the writing to a degree. So kudos to you both in that. That's where it got me. And then there's just certain things I'm trying to be careful for not spoiling. That you can see the cleverness in that. So you got me with all of that. Very clever. So in that regard, you know, we just came out of production. We talked about pre and during production. Let's talk post. What has the input been? You're now on this circuit, you know, pushing the movie to everybody. Did you do like a screening with the cast and crew? What has that been like now? And again, reminding everybody, all digital platforms, March 7th, check out Rebroken. Yeah,
March 7th. We had a cast, crew, family, friends screening back in September, was it, Scott?
Yeah, it was September. Yep.
Yeah, and it's great turnout. Had a really good night. You know, the response was great, and you never know how a movie's going to play. Look, you'll do a movie sometimes, and you think it's going to do really well, and it's going to get a great response, and literally no one watches it. And then you'll have one that is you almost just crap out and just like move on from, and it takes off and does really well. So you truly never know, especially a film like this, which some people are going to love that it surprised them and it made them think, and other people are going to be upset that it's a journey to get there. It takes a while to build up to the surprise, and you never know how it's going to be received. But this one, we're happy to say that there's been quite a few reviews, and so far everything has been very positive, and that always makes you feel good.
Exactly. Yeah. To what Kipp said. Yes. After the screening, the feedback was fantastic. We know that kind of screening. We're kind of playing, as I say, we're playing in front of the home crowd. That's our home team there. So then when it comes out now is this is that first stage, as as a filmmaker too, where, you get the professionals that are reviewing it, like yourself, that guys that really know movies and watch it. And I love to get, the reviews have been good, and I love getting those good ones. I also, Kipp knows I get real high, real low, so I have to kind of keep it in the middle, because then the next phase is, what's the general public going to say? What are the masses? What are the keyboard warriors going to say when it starts getting out there for everybody to see and everybody to chime in? So we'll see. So far, we've been spoiled. Things have been really, really good, but it's that old cliche too. Like I got to start living is that, you're not as great as everybody tells you. You're not as bad as everybody tells you. You're probably somewhere, in between all that. So don't believe the great stuff. Don't believe that the terrible, terrible stuff. But all I can say is I'm excited. The feedback so far has been great. And I hope that people like this movie as much as I like it.
We're bracing ourselves for the always happens every time you release a film. It's about a week after it's out, you just get pounded by trolls, and suddenly on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, and suddenly you just get 500 trolls in one day will just start bombarding your film. So basically you just kind of have to be prepared for that and just not listen to it and smile and move on to the next one. But the important people that matter are the professionals.
We're going to get the trolls to turn this time, Kipp. We're going to get the
right.
The keyboard warriors are even going to like it. Yeah. It's impossible for everyone to like it. Like I said, I remember the last one we did, this guy just killed our movie. And then I just took, I shouldn't even be reading them, first of all, but then I dove into some of his other reviews. And I remember I had to send Kipp a message. I said, this is why I can't read the reviews. And this is why also, when you tell me just don't worry about it, it's true, because this guy's like, everything he rated, he gave it a 1. And then he even had The Godfather, gave it a 1. I was like, not my thing, man. I don't know why everybody likes this movie so much. I was like, Godfather. This guy's killing The Godfather. Okay, I don't feel so bad. He didn't like my little micro budget.
At the end of the day, just make a movie that you want to see and move on.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't like it, oh well.
Exactly. We put our hearts on the table every time.
We do.
And
we do.
It can hurt. And I feel that in every way. I meant to bring this up earlier. And so I guess I'll turn it into, one of my last questions is the final message of this film. What grabs me about this is therapy. This character is going through group or meeting to your character's credit. That's an in-joke when y'all finally watch the film.
Yeah, I got it. I like it. I like it, man.
Mental health is so important. Self-care is so important. And that's one of the main themes of this. So I guess one of my questions is for you, the message of this film, and we follow Scott's character all throughout this, and then how you're tied to that Kipp and Allison and all of that. What do you think is the final message that you're trying to push out here with Rebroken, when we follow this character through this journey? And again, to me, so very clever. Like I said, you got me at the ending. It was just a so-so film, then it went up. So can we close out with just the final message of this film and reaching out to the audience, what you hope they get from this?
Yeah, there is again, it's a mystery thriller at the core, at the end of the day. But there's obviously the message of dealing with grief and how everyone, each mode of dealing with it is not going to work for every person. Just like not every film is for everyone. So some people will handle it one way, another person's going to handle it another way. And that is exactly, with mental health. And I mean, that's the truth for each person. It not one thing doesn't work for this person, but it's going to work for that person. And dealing with grief, again, it's I always say not to get too heavy-handed with it, but it's definitely something that in the writing process, there was a conscious effort to really kind of do a deep dive in the research and making sure we talk about the steps, and we talk about the stages of denial, and we talk about all of those moments. And because we all again experienced and have experienced and will experience grief in our lifetime, and to be broken, as you said. So that is something that we definitely, as far as what people can take away from this, hopefully it makes them think a little bit, on how they would deal with something, a situation. And also maybe not to judge a person who is going through a moment where they are drinking themselves into a coma every single night. It's so easy for someone to stand back and judge without having been in that situation. Until you're in that situation and you don't have anyone to turn to or anyone else that you think you can turn to, and you might turn to drugs or alcohol or something, to whatever, to self-medicate. So those are some things that we definitely wanted to touch on and weave that through this, psychological thriller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, or Kip touched on it at the beginning too. I would say definitely this film is really more of just like a fun movie, mystery, thriller, riddle, suspenseful, slow burn type of movie with a big twist. And we love that. But then, at the end of the day, it does take, there's a serious subject matter at the bottom line of it. And that's how we deal with the loss of somebody or deal with grief. And I would say my underlying thought about that is that no matter how bad you think it is, no matter how tough you're taking whatever grief, deal with that in your own personal way. But also, if you need help, there's help out there, man. Especially in this day and age, we're getting so much better about that. There's groups, there's a call you can make, there's a friend you can go talk to. That it doesn't need to be alcohol, doesn't need to be drugs, it doesn't need to be destructive behavior. Someone's out there that will listen to you. Someone's out there that's experienced the same thing, and that maybe just might have the words that you need to hear, or the words that click with you and help you get through this tough part of your life.
Let's go. Definitely agree with all of that. Thank you, gentlemen, about that. I actually had one more note that I forgot to ask earlier in regards to the cast before we close out as well. Tobin Bell, everybody know from Saw, Jigsaw, infamous, we all know and love Tobin Bell.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
I thought it was so weird and surreal that he's this nice guy in this, if you will. Yeah. And you had him do this recording without spoiling anything. There's just a recording that he listens to, but just that voice, we know from that, but then it's a good thing here. It was awkward. I just wanted to point that out. And if you could just maybe some words on Tobin.
Yeah. The script was written, and there was that character was written as is, makes a recording without Tobin in mind. It just so happened that when Tobin came on board, it's just such a nice connection to the Jigsaw voice, those recordings that you always heard. So that's just a fun coincidence. But I'd worked with Tobin previously earlier on in that year, and got to know his manager a bit, Kate. And when we were going through our list of people, made a call to Kate, and shout out to her. She got the script over to Tobin. He loved it, wanted to do it, and we made it happen. And but yeah, he plays a nice guy, but there's a mystery to him that you're not really sure if he really is the nice guy. And then of course there's a twist, and it's it was incredible to have him in the film. Total pro, and that voice is just iconic.
Yeah, was that as wild for you all as it was for me too, to hear him do that?
It is, but you don't realize it kind of in the moment when it's happening. You wait, and afterwards you're like, oh wait, that happened. Because you're just so busy and you're so focused on other things, you don't really get to appreciate it until later.
Yeah, and I will say I get what you're saying a little. It was a little wild for me right at the beginning, when like maybe the first take or the first scene that we do, and you're making eye contact with them, I'm connecting with them, and then you do it. I'm just a human being at the end of the day too. I'm like, I know this look, man, and you can get lost in it. Like, this is kind of surreal, man. I got Tobin Bell on the other side of me, looking through me. Even though he's just being a mysterious guy, he's playing a different kind of role, but it's still, he has that presence and he has that voice.
Yeah.
Those steely blue eyes with that, and it's just like, he's, he can do it all, man. And yeah, we're so grateful to have him. I was so excited that he was a part of it. And I think it's cool and exciting to have him do something different. And if you're expecting to see Tobin Bell running around in a horror type movie, this is not that, but you should see him in this role because it's he's played lots of different characters over his career, but he's also, definitely known for his horror success, but he can do everything. And playing the suspenseful, mysterious, don't know exactly what is going to happen with this guy. I think he did a fantastic job, and I think people will be pleased to see this performance from him and see this side of him.
Yeah,
completely agree.
100%.
Completely agree. You gotta, and as filmmakers, we gotta sell the film. Having a name like that for the people to see him do something different, so very important. And I applaud to you guys, so that way it can bring eyes to the project. And that's what's so very important. Salute to you both on Rebroken. Again, everybody arriving on all digital platforms, March 7th from Gravitas Ventures. But you both are actors. If we don't mind, if we could also maybe plug some other things you got going on as well before we sign off. I know Kipp, you've got a bunch of projects you're doing. You as well, Scott. Anything else we could look forward to? I know right now you're pushing Rebroken again, March 7th, y'all. But can we show some love to some other projects coming along the way?
Yeah. I've got. I was going to say real quick, Scott. I've got Wolf Mountain and Hunt Club, 2 films I did not too long ago, coming out in April. Hunt Club's with Mina Suvari, Mickey Rourke, Casper Van Dien, a bunch of other good people. And then Wolf Mountain is the other film I did with Tobin, and then Danny Trejo's in that one as well. And then I just finished up a Western. We're in post on that. And then Scott, I know you're probably going to talk about Christmas Gamble that we just did in December.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Kipp. We just wrapped. It's like an edgy Christmas movie called The Christmas Gamble. Kipp was, our main go-to producer on this one, that's for sure. And we were lucky enough to have Michael Madsen and Tom Arnold in this film. We're super excited about it. It's a little different choice from the ones that we've worked on together. It's like I said, it's edgy still, but it's edgy comedy. So we're super excited to get that one out for this holiday season.
And Kenny directed it.
Yeah. Oh, and Kenny directed again, and Nate shot it again. I mean, coming off Rebroken, I wanted to get that same core team. We have a lot of different people outside of that, but the core is definitely there. And we went in a different direction. I think it came out great, so we shall see. And then trying to get another one together for this summer, like a true crime podcaster back in our lane of thriller type suspense, a little bit of action mixed in this one too. So we're excited to hopefully be rolling on that this summer.
Excellent. Well, congrats, gentlemen. I'll be staying tuned to it. Hopefully, when you guys run the press circuit for that, you can come back and speak with me so I can give you both your flowers and highlight all of those projects.
Anytime, man. I love it. You get it. You're a fellow filmmaker, not to yourself. You get it. So I love talking to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Greatly appreciate it. Everybody checking this out right now. Rebroken arrives on all digital platforms on March 7th. I'll have links to both Kipp and Scott in the links in the description below, so you can follow them and follow these other projects coming along the way. This was a lot of fun, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Again, I was a little bit okay in the first half, but the second half, I was like, now I gotta watch it all over again.
Listen to your boy right here. You stay with it the whole time. We promise. We just need to get you there, and once we get you there, the car's gonna pick up a lot of speed towards the end. So check it out. If I could say one more thing, please, once it comes out, everybody can rate and review it on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. As you know, that is huge for us independent films to get them in there. And make sure they're all 10s and positive reviews. Just kidding. Be as honest as you want, man.
Be honest.
Just get out there and rate and review us. It helps the independent game tremendously.
Completely agree. Thank you both immensely. Scott Hamm Duenas Kipp Tribble, Rebroken, arriving on all digital platforms on March 7th. I am Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World.